What's up, everyone? This is Ain't Nobody Squeaky Clean. And as always, I appreciate you for coming to the podcast. Could have gone anywhere in the world, but you decided to stop by here. Maybe God led you here. Maybe your intuition led you here. Maybe you were just bored. Either way, hopefully you walk away inspired and educated on something that you didn't know before. Today's episode is about something people don't talk about enough. And honestly, something you don't fully understand until you live it. Inside of a lot of angry older people is a former athlete, a worker, a protector, a machine. Someone who used to move fast, think fast, recover fast, dominate rooms, lift heavy things, run all day, play through pain. And then one day, you can't. Not because we got soft, not because they stopped caring, but because time is undefeated. And for a lot of people, especially former athletes like myself, military people, laborers, competitors, high performers, aging feels less like getting older and more like slowly being trapped inside your own body. That's what we're talking about today. What's crazy is young people only see the current version of ourselves. They see the slower walk, the bad knees, the complaints, the frustration, the back in my day stories. What they don't see is the 22-year-old version that could hoop for 6 straight hours. The guy that carried the whole team. The woman who ran circles around everybody in the office. The father who worked 14 hours, then still coached. Little league after work. The athlete who once had colleges calling. The dude who could bench 315 pounds without stretching first. People don't realize some older folks were absolute dogs. And mentally, a lot of us still are. And that's the problem. Because our mind still remembers what our body used to do. So your brain says, go. But those knees, they say absolutely not. So this is the part that younger people misunderstand. Sometimes older people, we're not angry at you specifically. We're angry at the reality that we just can't move the same, can't compete the same, can't provide the same, can't recover the same, can't command rooms the same, can't feel useful the same. Imagine spending your entire life being strong, then suddenly needing help opening jars. Now, I haven't gotten there yet, but that's a tough one. Imagine being the fastest person in every room. Then you struggle just to get out of bed. Snap, crackle, pop every single morning. That's what you hear when you're getting up. Imagine once hearing crowds cheer your name, and now people talk over you like you're invisible. Or worse, they ghost you. The transition, it's brutal, especially for athletes. Athletes are trained to identify themselves through performance. What do you do? What can you produce? How can you help us win? And when the performance fades, a lot of people feel like they faded. Nobody teaches athletes about the emotional side of aging. They teach you how to train, how to grind, how to sacrifice, how to compete. But nobody teaches you how to stop being, quote, the guy, unquote. Nobody prepares you for the silence. That silence is deafening. The loss of attention. Ooh, that was a tough one. The physical pain. Yep. The slower recovery. Mm-hmm. The weight gain. Yep. The changing mirror. The younger generation replacing you. One day, you're the future. Then suddenly, you're OG. And sometimes that title sounds respectful, but deep down, it can feel like your time is over. That's hard for competitive people. Hmm. Because competitors never really stop competing mentally. A lot of older athletes are walking around carrying invisible damage: bad shoulders, concussions, arthritis, torn ligaments, back problems, neck pain, hands that don't close all the way anymore. And they still try to act tough because that's how they were built. That generation was taught, don't complain, walk it off, tough it out. So instead of sadness, it comes out as irritation. Instead of vulnerability, it comes out as anger. Instead of saying, I miss who I used to be, we snap over small stuff. Because grief doesn't always look like crying. Sometimes grief looks like frustration. And that's many, many times. But as always, here's the important part. Getting older doesn't mean your value disappears. You may lose some of that athleticism, but you gain wisdom. You may lose speed, but you gain perspective. You may no longer dominate physically, but you can still impact people mentally. Some of the best coaches were never the best players. And some of the strongest leaders aren't the strongest athletes anymore. And maybe the second half of life isn't about proving yourself physically anymore. Maybe it's about teaching, guiding, protecting, building, leading, mentoring. There's power in that too, a different kind of power. One thing that I wish younger people understood is that old guy yelling at the TV, as I'm raising my hand, might have been cold-blooded in his prime. You best believe it. That older woman moving slower in the grocery store might have had an entire family together for 30 years. And that former athlete that's sitting quietly might still replay championship moments in their head every day. People age, legends age, heroes age, athletes age. But the competitor inside of us, that never ever fully dies. And honestly, that's probably why some older people still carry that fire. Even when the body can't cash the checks, the mind is writing anymore. Inside of a lot of angry old people is somebody mourning the version of themselves they used to be. Not because we're weak, but because we remember exactly how strong we once were. And if you're getting older listening to this, your value was never only your athleticism. The world may stop cheering eventually, but your experience still matters. Your lessons still matter. Your story still matters. Because one day, the young athlete becomes the old athlete too. And then they finally understand. I was a hell of an athlete when I was younger. Flying through the air, dunking on people, shooting threes, gliding down the court. I mean, I could pretty much at one point just do anything I wanted to do out there. And that lasted for about a good 5, 6 year run. And then little by little, you start to fade. But that fire is still inside, and the lessons that you learn along the way are still there. But it is hard when you get older and nobody's looking for you anymore. You might run into somebody at the grocery store or somewhere. I've talked about this before, and they'll reminisce with you. Man, you were cold back in your day. I remember that game against so and so. Man, they threw that pass and you went up there. It looked like you were flying. And those memories are fantastic because you don't forget those moments. Any athlete would tell you they will remember if they run a 99-yard touchdown, or they had 3 dunks in a championship game, or hit a 3-pointer to win, or kicked the game-winning goal in a soccer game. You will never, ever forget that. And when you talk about it, those chills will come back to you because those moments meant so, so much. Because to get to that moment, there is so much work and preparation that is done mentally and physically to get you to the pinnacle of your career. That's why the cheers mean so much, because they're cheering on the work that got you to this moment. And there's nothing better, nothing. So if this episode hit home, share it with somebody who used to compete at a high level. Sports, military, work, life, any of those areas. And remember, everybody celebrates the rise. Very few people talk about the transition after the peak. But don't forget, the entire journey is still worth it. As always, this is Ain't Nobody Squeaky Clean. And until next time, I hope you have a blessed day and a blessed week. And I'll talk to you soon.